Similar to the U.S., Israeli law broadly protects free speech, but not in the occupied territories. And since the war against Hamas began, there are clear signs some Israeli officials are eager to set more limits everywhere, restricting anti-war demonstrations and now targeting Palestinian booksellers. Our Britt Clennett has this report from East Jerusalem in the occupied West Bank.
Shackled at the feet, handcuffed, and flanked by Israeli police in a Jerusalem court. Mahmoud Muna and his nephew Ahmad may look like criminals here, but their crime? Selling books. Police say that certain books in the stores they own contain incitement and support terrorism. The two now face potential charges of disturbing public order. Security footage from the store earlier that day shows the moment plainclothed officers raided their famous bookstore in predominantly Muslim East Jerusalem, sifting through the shelves, taking photos, shoving some books into plastic bags.
It was heartbreaking for me, and I really mean it. Every time he chunks a books out, I was like, for God's sake, like, why are you doing this?
Ahmad Muna speaking to us during his house arrest.
So how did they find the books that they were after?
So Google Translate became handy. Each of them opened their phone and started taking photos of books and trying to Google Translate it. Does it have the Palestinian flag? Does it have a drawing? Does it have a prisoner? Does it have the image of a wall? And this is then the search became, the search is about the content, but the decision was made according to the cover and the design of the book rather than what's inside it.
Ahmad and Mahmoud were under house arrest for 5 days after about 48 hours in police custody. Police identifying a copy of this book as one of the allegedly offending items, a children's colouring book titled From the River to the Sea. A rallying cry for some activists to see the liberation of Palestinians from the Mediterranean to the Jordan River, an area that includes modern-day Israel.
People came to us.
The owners say the book wasn't even on display. It was at the back, where they review all books submitted before putting them up for sale.
But they're saying that these books incite terror.
Nothing has changed about the books, nothing has changed about the bookshop. But what has changed is the place that we live in. That's what has changed. We live in a place that in the last few years have become more radical.
Ahmad and Mahmoud are just one floor apart, but under the terms of their arrest, they're not allowed to interact. Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Good
Thanks
to
for
see
coming.
you. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Thanks for coming. I asked him, do you know George Orwell novel 1984? And he said no. And at that point, I said, look, you certainly are definitely the wrong person to do this job today.
Their bookshop, now in operation for more than 40 years, has become a vital hub of the community.
Just off the main street here in Jerusalem, this is a very popular bookshop. People come to gather here, not only locals, but foreigners, journalists, diplomats, to learn, to find out more about this part of the world and beyond. There are a lot of books here about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but actually there are books here from all corners of the world, classics, encyclopedias, recipe books, books about architecture.
Books by Israeli authors too.
The bookshop represents success, light, beauty, some sort of happiness in the midst of bleakness. And once you step into the bookshop, it's very colorful, it's very bright, there's lots of light, there's lots of knowledge, there's lots of good conversations. So for the community, the way they describe it often is that this is almost a refuge. This is a place to escape to.
Ahmad and Mahmoud are no longer under house arrest, but despite not being charged, were banned until this week from stepping foot in their bookstores. Family member Muhrad Muna now manning the store after it was briefly shuttered.
They took a lot of books, about 100 copies of books.
Do you see this as a clampdown on freedom of speech?
Sure. I mean, they try to shut down the Palestinian voices. I mean, if these our books, you can find them at the library of the Hebrew University. You can find them at the bookshops on the other side of the city. So they just target the Palestinian culture and try to shut it down.
Are you intimidated, or will you continue as normal?
We'll continue with our good work. We know what we are doing. We paid a hard price, but it pushed us forward, not backward.
Yet locals fear this could have a chilling effect, part of a broader clampdown on free speech. For now, though, the store remains open, and people from all walks of life continue to come here.
Not for a single moment we thought about closing the shop. Not for a single moment.
We don't stop. We keep going. We think we are in a very divine mission here.
They remain undeterred. Our thanks to Britt Clennett for that. ABC News reached out to Israeli police in Jerusalem for comment. They said that they will continue efforts to thwart incitement and support for terrorism, as well as apprehend those involved in offenses that threaten the security of Israel's citizens.